Hi everyone, it's Amber from The Sensible Mama. It's 5 Ways Wednesday, and as you could probably tell from the title, this video is not going to apply to everyone. I do try really hard to do videos that are like universally applicable, that just any mom could watch and relate to, whether that's a packing video or a story time or whatever, but sometimes there's just things on my heart that I want to talk about that speak directly to a certain type of mom who might be going through a certain type of thing. And today it's just really been on my mind, and I wanted to give this topic my 2 cents, and that is raising 2 children who are very close in age that you had both really young. And what I mean by that is having a very young child and then having a pregnancy while that child is still very young. A lot of people call that 2 under 2. It means you have your second baby before your first baby turns 2 years old. That's what happened with me. We planned it that way, and there were a lot of people who wanted to know why we would want to do that. And in fact, I have asked myself a few times why I decided to do that. And I know that there are lots of videos that you can find online about, is it worthwhile to have 2 under 2? I'm not going to pretend like I'm the only person out there who can give you any advice on this, but what I do want to do is just share my own personal story with you and my own suggestions. So if you're somebody who either just had your newborn and you're feeling lost and confused and not really sure what to do now, or maybe you're someone who still has a young child and you're trying to decide, okay, do we have another one now or do we wait? This video is for you. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 ways to best survive having 2 under 2, if that's what you choose is best for your family. And at the end, sort of as like a bonus to this 5 Ways Wednesday, I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons from my personal perspective. So if that sounds interesting to you, or if you just want to turn on YouTube and listen to me talk, keep watching. Hi, this is Amber from the future. I'm splicing this in at the end of filming this video because throughout this video, my microphone right here has been falling down into my face, and sometimes I caught it and sometimes I did not. So just have a laugh with me as you gradually watch throughout this video the microphone coming down into various positions in front of my face. Before I realize it, I'm sorry, I'm trying to be more professional, but sometimes things just don't work out the way you want them to. I hope you get a laugh out of it just like I will when I start editing this video. Okay, back to present Amber. Tip number 1, and I hope that this doesn't sound tongue-in-cheek. I feel like this is just one of those things that you have to say. Tip number 1 is stop worrying so much. Like I really feel the need to say that because when I announced that I was pregnant, I of course got a whole lot of support, a whole lot of people who were just there for me and happy for me and just like wanting the best for me and encouraging me, saying that it's going to be just fine. But I also got a lot of comments from people who I personally felt like they were trying to make me regret having gotten pregnant. Like, just people would talk about how hard it is having 2 under 2 and, oh, welcome to the club, welcome to the nightmare, that kind of thing. And in retrospect, I know what they meant. But it almost kind of felt like I'm pregnant now. Like there's not anything I can do now. So why are you giving me this anxiety attack with this stuff that you're saying to me? And I did panic for a little while. I worried. I worried about a million things. How would I cope with 2 children all the time? Would I ever have time to myself? How would my sweet little boy handle a little sister coming along who suddenly needs so much time and attention and who I want to be with? And how are we going to navigate all of that? I was really, really scared. And to some extent, the things that people had to say didn't really help very much either. And what I want to say before I get into some actual tips, the first thing is just from a mental and emotional standpoint, is just to let go of the worry, because sincerely, whatever you're concocting in your head about how hard it's going to be, it's not going to be what you're imagining. And the insane thing about being a mom is that you just wake up every morning and you do it. And you do it imperfectly, and you make mistakes, and you snap at the older kid because he's not doing what you need him to do, and you feel impatient with the baby because they're just crying and you can't make them stop, and you're having worries about breastfeeding and am I providing enough milk? Am I just all of these different things, is this formula the right formula for my kid? It's just a million things. And you make mistakes. but somehow you just keep getting up every morning and doing it. And your children go on loving you. And I think if there was just anything that this mama heart could say to your mama heart, it's that you will figure it out. Whatever it is, you will figure it. I'm sorry. I can remember one of the biggest questions for me was like, how am I ever going to go anywhere with 2 children, both who have to be in car seats? But like Roman was still too young to get himself in and out of the car. How am I going to do this? And I remember the first time I left the house and I was just so overwhelmed and frightened, wondering how I was nursing at the time. Like, how am I going to nurse my daughter and take care of my son at the same time when that happens? And I can't even really explain. I can't even point to what I did to make it work. I just know it worked. And I know that there were times that I had a latched baby and I was chasing after my toddler, but you know what? I caught him and I brought him back to where I was. And over time, he learned not to run off while I was nursing the baby. And that was that. It's full of frustrations some days, but you just figure it out. The same as you figured it out when you were a brand new mom who didn't know what you were doing at all. You know what I mean? I don't know why we put this on ourselves of like, oh, 2 is so scary. It's scary, but it is just as doable as 1. It's just all about adapting. And you have good days and you have bad days and you just survive them all. So tip number 1 is just don't let anybody discourage you. If you really feel that your family is complete and the way it's supposed to be by having 2 kids back to back or 3 kids or 4 kids back to back, whatever that may be, don't let anybody discourage you because you're surviving with the first one. The first one has made it to whatever age they are right now, and they're there because you are a good mom and you know what you're doing, even when it doesn't feel like it. My next 2 tips have to do with sleep, and this is where we're actually going to get into the practical things that I learned once I became a new mom. I remember when I was in transition with Abby, I had a home birth. I gave birth to her in my master bedroom, and it was 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was about to give birth to her. And I remember stopping, like holding back, trying not to push because I was in tears, and all I was thinking about was poor Roman was going to wake up this morning and have a new sister, and his whole life was going to be different. And I just didn't want that for him. I had made up this false narrative in my mind that I was never going to have time for him anymore now that this baby is here. But let me tell you the craziest thing. Has my mic seriously been here the whole time? All right, let's get that out of here. Professional YouTuber that I am. Where was I? Oh yes, we forget this after we have a child who is out of the infant years because they suddenly never sleep once they're not infants anymore. But babies sleep a lot. And I had forgotten that, and I was astonished by just how much time Abby spent sleeping. Like, she was sleeping a good 18 hours out of the day, and it was amazing. It was amazing to me because I would put her down here in the living room with me. They sleep through everything. Like, your toddler can make as much noise as he wants to make. They're going to sleep through it. It's just that a locomotive could come through the living room, and that baby's going to stay asleep. I had so much time to spend with Roman, and it was fabulous for us. And part of the time that we spent together was actually looking at Abby down in her little bassinet and talking about her and just really getting him to understand this new little person. And it was such a great way to just warm him up to her. So for me, I think a really, really great solution to have is don't feel like you need to put the newborn in their bedroom, like the room that you're going to have for them. For us, I mean, Abby slept in our bedroom for the first at least 6 months, I think, and then she transitioned into her own bedroom. But during the day, I did not put her up in our bedroom away from us. I did not put her in her room. I had a bassinet that stayed here in the living room with us. We had a Mamaroo as well, which that thing is expensive, but it's worth it, by the way. And Abby was actually able to sort of be with us even though she was asleep. I got to spend so much wonderful time cuddling with my toddler, watching cartoons with him, playing with him, and also both of us interacting with Abby. So don't be afraid, I think, to put your baby in the same space that you're in with your toddler, especially since when they get adjusted to all that noise and sleeping through it, I definitely found that Abby has been a better sleeper than Roman. I think a lot of that is because she just got used to sleeping amongst noise. My second tip related to sleep pertains to a little bit further down the road when your infant, your newborn, is no longer like just sleeping throughout the day, but actually has more of a sleep schedule. And for me, the biggest lifesaver has been establishing quiet time for my toddler. Now, in the early months with Abby's nap time was all about me and Roman spending our time together and just really affirming for him that he has my time, he has my attention, he is loved, and Abby is not replacing him. But now that Abby is 18 months old, we've established that. There's no more of that sibling rivalry for the most part. Roman understands that I have love for both of them and he doesn't have to compete. And so now what I do is one of her nap times, she's basically dropped her second one, so now her nap time is quiet time for Roman. She often takes about a 2-hour nap. I don't make Roman stay in his room for quiet time during that entire nap. In fact, I let him choose when he comes out, but usually he'll spend at least 45 minutes in his room playing with his toys, or sometimes he'll just like chill out in his bed and just have that quiet time since he's not napping anymore, so that I can get some work done, so that I can clean the house, I can focus on the sensible mama, I can take a shower if I want to. And sometimes when you have 2 kids, that 45 minutes of quiet time is the only time you have to yourself. And I just think if you're someone who has guilt about that, because I know I did at first, just know that your child will survive having some quiet time. And in fact, I think that even children get overstimulated just like we do. I think that they need some time to just be alone and just sort of there's nothing wrong with a child entertaining himself for a little while. Is my microphone still in the shot? Oh, what a mess this video is turning out to be. Tip number 3 is about dates with both, and I really hope that I don't want to exclude the single moms here, but this is a whole lot easier to do when you have a partner. Something that Charlie and I decided to do very recently, actually, was on weekends establish a date day where he takes one kid and I take the other kid, and we have a little date and we switch off every weekend who we take. A lot of times that looks like me taking Roman to the pool and maybe Charlie staying here with Abby or taking her out. Maybe Charlie will take Roman out for ice cream. I don't know. We switch it up. But I think it's really important for both children to get alone time with both parents so that they can foster that really special, unique relationship with mom and with dad. If you're a single mom, my hope would be that maybe even if you don't go to church, you can enroll your children often in like mommy's day out kind of activities and things like that so that you can take one of your children out alone. But I do think that just trying to find ways to spend alone time with each child out of the house where you're not being distracted by the other child, it helps. I can give an example of just, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months ago, we were going through a really, really rough patch with Roman and his behavior. He was acting out so badly, and one of the ways that he was acting out was he was hitting Abby and he was hitting me. And my husband sort of pointed out, he was like, it just seems to me like maybe Roman is having a hard time coping with your relationship with Abby, and maybe you need to go out with him alone and see how he does. So that next Saturday, I packed Roman up. We went out in the car together. We went to the pool. After the pool, we went and just poked around in some fun little stores, got him a couple new little toys, and then we went and got donuts afterward. And let me just tell you, that child was a different child after that day. It was like that was all he needed. Did it last forever? No. That's why you do kind of need to do it often, not just once. But it was amazing to me the difference that it made for Roman, just taking him out by himself. And then the next weekend, letting Roman hang out with dad while I take Abby out. You know, it's really, really, I just can't stress enough how important it is to try to have alone time with each kid when you can. The last one that I think has been really helpful for us is buying toys that your older child can teach your younger child to interact with and play with. For us, that was things like squigs, which is something that we carry at the Sensible Mama, but I'm not trying to plug that. It's just, I have a lot of those around here because of the fact that I carry them at the store. And I really have enjoyed watching Roman like teach Abby how squigs stick to things and how you can hit them and they boing and the whirly squigs and all that different stuff. Like, he really enjoys teaching her cause and effect with those, like showing her how you can stick them together and then like suction them apart. little toy cars, little toy dinosaurs that he can show her how to move the arms around on, and how to roar, and how to scoot a car across the edge of the couch or something. Just really teaching Roman how to impart knowledge to Abby has been really, really cool. And I think having good toys for that really helps teach Abby, teach her how to play with this. They end up having a lot of fun together, and it keeps them both busy, again, so that I can step away for just a moment, even if that's just to... You guys, this microphone, I honestly don't know what to do. I am like, I just can't even deal with what is happening with my mic. Oh, Amber, pack it in, it's done. So those are my 5 tips for 5 Ways Wednesday. Now, let me just really quickly, and I had notes that I was working off of before. I don't have any notes for this, so we're gonna swing from the hip. I'm just gonna talk about some of the pros versus cons of having 2 kids close in age. Let's talk about the pros. One of my favorite things has been the fact that both of my kids are now at a point where they can play together, and a lot of toys, like I was saying before, are age appropriate for them. It's really, really great to know that they are close enough in age that they can enjoy things. I don't have one child who's into video games and one child who's into Blippi. You know, they are very much into the same things, which I think has been a really, really nice thing. The second thing is that they are both entering preschool around the same time, and having just started preschool for the both of them this week, I have to tell you, it's been fantastic. When we went to orientation for the 2 kids, I went into Abby's room and then I went into Roman's room afterward, and I told both of their teachers, like, Abby loves Roman and he can always make her feel better. He loves to make her laugh. When she's upset or when she's sad, is it possible that you can bring her to Roman and let her see him and just know that he's there? And the teachers were amazing. They were like, yes, we are so sensitive to when siblings are here in school together, and we do exactly that. We'll pull Roman out of his classroom, we'll pull Abby out of her classroom, let them see each other, hug it out or whatever. We'll even let Abby go spend time in his classroom if she wants to. We're gonna make sure that they know that their sibling is there, and we're gonna reunite them when one of them is upset. And you know, if Roman was in middle school and Abby was starting preschool, she wouldn't have somebody there to be there for her, and I love that. It's been really nice handing down toys to Abby, whereas, you know, as Roman kind of loses interest in his toys, we might have been taking a lot of trips to Goodwill. In this case, a lot of the toys that we bought, we're just getting to give to Abby, so we're saving money. Again, big pro. I'm finding that they like each other a lot more than I thought they would. And I think that that does have something to do with them being close in age. They just sort of admire each other and look out for each other, and that's something that I really appreciate about them being so close in age. Another thing that I've loved, going back to the preschool thing, is that it is nice to get both of them out of the house for a little while. And maybe that sounds bad of me to say, but I do think that if Roman were older and I had gotten used to him actually being in school 5 days a week and having that time to myself to do the things that I need to do, I think it would be kind of a big adjustment trying to like just reacclimate to having a tiny little dependent person always around. And so I kind of like that when Abby was born, I was still very much in that groove of like, we are just in the trenches every day. I had not had a break. It had not relented, and I was just still in that mindset. And for me personally, that's been really good. I think that if I had pulled myself out of that mode, the constant mothering, I'm sorry, now I'm paranoid about this microphone. If I'd pulled myself out of that constant mothering mode and then was thrown back into it, I think I would really, really struggle. I'm a person who values my alone time a lot, and I also have a business to run. I just feel like postpartum depression would have been a very real thing if I had been yanked out of my freedom and then put back into the constant mothering. So those are the pros. There's probably a lot more, but I'd actually like to jump into the cons because that's probably why you're actually here and what you're interested in hearing. So here are the things that have been challenging for me personally. Potty training Roman with a little one around was very difficult. We decided to do the oh crap potty training method, which means naked baby. You know, we just left him without a diaper or pants on or anything, and the goal is to watch them nonstop, and when they start showing the signs of needing to go potty, you rush them to the potty. And that's really hard when you have a little one, and if you have 2 under 2, you are going to hit potty training age while you still have a really little one, and it's challenging. Another thing, and I alluded to this earlier, getting two children in and out of car seats is really hard. And it's getting easier now that Roman can step in and out of the car, at least by himself, and he's learning how to buckle his chest clip, which has been great. But for a while there, I had one child who was still like not super sure on his feet, and I had a newborn, and I have one who I had to either wear or carry on my hip, and the other that I was carrying around in the car seat, and that was a lot. Now that they're both toddling around, you do get them going in opposite directions at very inconvenient times, like when you are crossing the street to get to the grocery store. That gets scary sometimes. You have to get really creative about how to keep both in one place. I really like going to places like Publix and Target that have two-seaters where you can actually put both kids in a seat with a steering wheel. That tends to help. But it's definitely challenging when you have two little ones who can walk and who neither of whom have quite mastered the whole stay by me no matter what thing. I found breastfeeding to be really challenging, as I mentioned before, when I had a young toddler and a breastfeeding baby. As you guys know, if you've been watching me for a while, I did end up stopping breastfeeding with Abby, kind of against my will. But things did get a lot easier for me at that point. And I would say, if you're someone who's not sure if you want to breastfeed the second baby, give yourself the grace to stop, because I am so pro breastfeeding. I just want every mom to try it if they want to try it. It is a wonderful bonding experience, but for me, it also brought a lot of heartache and a lot of anxiety. And for me, the world opened up quite a bit more when I could go out in public and I could give Abby a bottle, and I just felt much more mobile when I had to go chase after my toddler, when my boobs were both in my shirt and my baby was eating a bottle. And I know that that's a lot about me just being uncomfortable, being insecure, breastfeeding in public. I get it, but for me, it made a big difference when I started bottle feeding. Breastfeeding was hard. Obviously, if your older child is not sleeping through the night, which is pretty likely if you have two under 2, now you have double the wake-ups at night, which is exhausting. You spend a lot of time feeling like a zombie, but you do survive. Somehow, your body just learns how to operate on 0 sleep. But I think overall, the biggest pro that outweighs any con that I just listed is seeing these two children love each other so much. And let me be very clear, they will fight like cats and dogs, but they love each other, and Roman tells me all the time. Sometimes he'll just walk up to me and he'll say, "Mommy, I love Abby so much." And it melts my heart every time, because I lived in such fear that Roman was going to hate his sister, that he was going to hate me for bringing his sister into the world, and it's just not the case. The truth is, no matter when you have your second child, there's going to be good days and bad days, and there's going to be pros and cons, and I think you need to just follow your heart and accept that there's going to be bad days, but there would have been bad days no matter what choice you made, you know? So my recommendation is, if it's on your heart to have a second baby and have 2 under 2, go for it. You're gonna survive, your kids are gonna survive, you're gonna be fine. And if you're not fine, you're gonna get help. Maybe that's my last tip. Get help if you need it. If people are telling you that maybe you might have postpartum depression, consider that maybe that's true, and that's okay. There's no shame. I went through it. Having 2 was very challenging for a little while. And just be willing to seek the help if you need it, whether that means getting a babysitter, putting one child in daycare part-time, sending one child or both children off to the grandparents if they're nearby, seeking out therapy if you need it. There are resources for you that can help you if you're going through a hard time. You just have to admit it to yourself and accept that it's okay and it's normal, that there are lots of people who are going through that as well. Between my microphone issues and just my brain being all over the place, I'm not sure if this video ended up being helpful or not, but even if it helps one person make that hard decision, then I did my job today. Thank you so much for watching. Love ya, mean it, always, mwah, and I'll see you in the next one.